Hey Homespot friends, ready to escape into a dreamy cottage garden where wildflowers spill over stone and every corner feels like a storybook? Today we are wandering through rustic paths, mossy edges, and charming decor that turns small spaces into timeless sanctuaries. I am so glad you are here. Take a breath, slow down, and let these ideas spark your next cozy, whimsical garden moment. A winding cobblestone path drifts through wildflowers, the stones cushioned by moss and thyme. At a gentle bend waits a tiny nook, limestone slab stools gathered around a weathered millstone. Enamel teacups, a glass jar of meadow blooms, and drifting butterflies suggest an unhurried afternoon. Soft light schemes rough stone, paints petals, and warms the mossy edges. Bees hum encampment, and the air smells like rain on rock and crushed chamomile. The path invites wandering, curving into mystery, where simple objects and living textures create a tender, timeless cottage mood. A low dry stone wall threads the garden, each lichen-sprinkled rock stacked by hand. Foxgloves rise behind like pastel sentinels, while a wooden ledge holds terracotta pots, a brass mister, and a vintage seed tin. Clover and chamomile stitch the ground with humble white stars. Sunlight grazes the uneven stones and wakes soft shadows in every crevice. Bees browse the thyme. A breeze stirs paper seed packets. The wall feels storied and steady, a handmade boundary that frames wildness, celebrates small tools, and keeps time with petals and weather. A timber gate stands slightly ajar between fieldstone piers, opening from gravel to meadow. Red poppies flare, cornflowers gleam, and cow parsley drifts like lace above tall grasses. A chipped slate sign says welcome, the iron latch rubbed bright by countless arrivals and departures. Stepping stones wander ahead and vanish into the bright green sea. Butterflies flit, and warm air carries pollen and hay. The scene whispers invitation and gentle discovery, a threshold between tended path and sweet disarray, where every footstep writes a new line of summer. Two willow hoops bend to form a simple arch above flat river stones. Yarrow, feverfew, and thyme edge the path, guiding the eye to a shallow stone birdbath. From a twig hoop, faded linen ribbons stir, catching flecks of light and the tiniest breezes. Water rings widen where birds sip and leave. The stones are rounded, damp, and flecked with moss, their soft colors glowing under filtered sun. The mood is handmade and calm, a small sanctuary where movement stays quiet and beauty arrives on tiptoe. Old apple trees lace a small picnic green with dapples. Daisies punctuate the tufted grass. A reclaimed plank table rests on broad flagstones. Enamel pitchers brim with meadow stems, and a galvanized watering can leans near. Everything looks friendly, used, and ready for laughter. Beyond the table, lawn softens into taller grasses and buttercups. Light falls like cider through leaves, painting boards and linen. Imperfection becomes charm. A nicked tabletop, a crooked stack of plates, the sweet scuff of time. Abundance here is gentle, informal, and generous. Reclaimed brick soldiers edge tidy rows of vegetables, with straw paths threading the beds. Calendula and borage self-seed among cabbages, and beans climb rustic frames. A wooden trug rests beside stacked clay pots. A tin spills seed packets and labels faded by many summers. At one corner, a hand pump feeds a stone trough, water shining on its lip. The garden feels practical yet romantic, stitched with order and chance. Soil keeps its rich fragrance, twine waits on a hook, and every leaf seems eager for evening watering. Rough-hewn stone steps climb a fragrant bank of lavender and catmint. Bees work in a purple haze as the path curves upward. At the top, a weathered bench waits with a sun hat on a peg, pruning shears resting nearby, and a basket of fresh stems. Light grazes stone and silvered foliage, turning the air into soft perfume. Footfalls sound hollow and cool on each uneven tread. The scene suggests arrival and pause, a place where scent and sound hold still, and the breeze carries away whatever hurriedness remains. An irregular Fieldstone terrace hosts a compact wrought iron bistro set. Scented pelargoniums cluster around chair legs, and strawberries spill over a low stone edge. On the tabletop, a crocheted runner and a vintage lantern share space with a small plate of bright berries. Warm light lingers on iron scrollwork and the edges of stone. Surrounding beds overflow with herbs and wildflowers, blurring boundaries between hardscape and bloom. The patio feels like a little stage for conversation and gentle clinks, where time slows and afternoon deepens into gold. A narrow trellis corridor, wrapped in rambling roses, leads toward a round pebble mosaic. Sunlight filters through layers of petals and leaf. At the end hangs an antique mirror, doubling blossom and sky. Crate shelves along the path carry seed packets, twine, and pressed flower frames. Gravel crunches softly underfoot, and the corridor breathes romance and repetition. Reflections make the space seem endless, magnifying color and fragrance. The handmade details feel loved and useful, amplifying the dreamlike mood where garden becomes a hallway, and the hallway becomes a gentle spell. A small gravel circle holds a low stone ring around a compact fire bowl, placed where lawn fades into meadow fringe. Log slice stools form an easy ring. A crate holds folded wool blankets and jars of dried grasses, catching last light as insects shimmer. Evening gathers, and the field turns to a halo of seed heads. The unlit bowl already promises glow against cool stone and dusk green. This is a place for stories and quiet warmth, where garden order softens into wild, and shadows deepen with friendly intention. Against a stone outbuilding, a reclaimed door becomes backdrop to a humble potting corner. A pine worktop rests on brick piers. Clay pots stack beside a wooden dibber, twine holder, and seed envelopes. Nasturtiums spill from an enamel basin. A galvanized bucket keeps a hand fork. Sun and shade stripe the wall, revealing lichen and old rain marks. Soil dusts the bench. A small brush waits to sweep. Every tool carries marks of use, every surface a memory. It is honest work disguised as poetry, or poetry disguised as work. A green window is pruned through hawthorn, framing waving grasses and distant trees. Nearby hangs a rope swing from a sturdy branch, its plank seat scuffed by countless arcs. Clover patches and buttercups quilt the ground, while a limestone block holds a jar of meadow stems. Birdsong flickers at the edges, and wind moves leaves in easy rhythms. The scene carries childhood and calm in equal measure. Nothing is urgent. Light simply passes, a soft gold across hedge and grass. The swing waits, promising a little flight and an easy landing. A sunken millstone recirculates water into a granite trough, set in pea gravel and ringed by feathery greens. The millstone grooves gleam with a steady, soothing loop. Nearby, mismatched terracotta pots stand in a trio, each tagged with copper labels that catch thin slivers of light. A narrow path of stepping stones leads to and from the small court. The sound of water tucks itself into the garden's breath, steady and forgiving. Texture rules here: cool stone, damp shine, powdery clay. The space is meditative, handmade, and perfectly content with smallness. A classic herb wheel lies set with split fieldstones forming spokes around a central birdbath. Thyme, sage, chamomile, oregano, and mint spill fragrant over the edges, weaving textures and tiny flowers. A chalkboard slate leans near a spoke, listing a simple tisane blend scribbled in chalk. Bees browse the blossoms. Earth shows between stones. The design marries symmetry and softness, usefulness and beauty. Everything feels reachable, friendly, and ready for kitchen or comfort. It is a living pantry arranged like a mandala, patient under sun, generous after rain. Where garden meets woodland, a semicircle of boulders forms a storytelling niche. A stump serves as a lectern, books worn at the edges, a basket of pine cones at its base. Foxgloves rise behind, ferns unfurl, and tiny mushrooms to a floor of moss and leaves. Light filters through branches, soft and patchy, turning pages and petals to warm parchment. The boulders feel like gathered listeners. It is a place to read aloud, linger, or simply breathe the forest's slower tempo, where imagination has shade and every quiet has depth. Reclaimed bricks form a chevron landing at a ramshackle greenhouse door. Patchwork panes cloud the light. Rough timber frames it kindly. Inside, stacks of clay pots, a ladder rack for drying herbs, hanging lavender, and trays of seedlings make an orderly jumble rich with promise. Outside, self-sown calendula brightens the gravel, while a watering can and muddy boots wait by the sill. Scratches, patched wood, and sunstruck dust feel tender rather than tired. The threshold suggests steady rhythm. Sow, tend, rest, repeat, a humble ritual where growth feels personal. A curving path of flat stepping stones threads through airy grasses and cosmos, leading toward a tiny clearing. Shepherd's hooks carry simple glass lanterns, waiting to glow. At the end, a stump table holds a lace doily and a ceramic jug of cut wildflowers. Twilight lays soft color over seed heads and petals, turning edges into halos. The garden hushes into itself. The path becomes invitation and farewell. As the first lantern flickers, time seems to thin, and the evening settles like a friendly shawl over stone and bloom. Thanks for strolling the cottage paths with me. We explored wild blooms hugging stone, handmade details, and simple decor that turns any corner into a gentle retreat. If this rustic magic inspired your next garden moment, tap like, hit subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Tell me which scene you loved most and what you want to see next on Homespot. See you in the garden soon.